Hi everyone, I am Wild Horse from moveroot.com, out barefoot, and today I am here to give you 7 really good reasons to get out as often as possible and walk, roam, stroll, skip, hop, jump, climb, whatever you do, barefoot. Reason number 1. Reason number 1 to get outside and move around barefoot, to run, jump, hop, skip, climb barefoot in nature on constantly changing surfaces is that the sensory stimulation through our feet, through the soles of our feet, strengthens and increases our motor abilities on the long run. The more we do it, the more it does it. So this is giving us better coordination, better balance, and we learn to move in a better way. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2. Reason number 2 to get outside and move barefoot, walking, running, whatever we're doing, is that the constantly changing surfaces while we're outside in nature, you know, walking over grass, earth, sticks, stones, climbing over logs, whatever we're doing, every step we take is very much different to the last step we took. So all the time, as we're in everyday lives, where especially in cities, you know, where everybody's running around with shoes in, we're not looking at how we're walking either, we're just sort of moving fast. And the surfaces are always flat, they're always the same, there's no need to worry. If you miss a curb, if you miss seeing a curb, you're just going to fall over it. So the muscles in our feet and our legs and our backs and our core don't have to do much at all. We just sort of more or less stand up right and move around. Now walking outside barefoot in nature, touching these constantly changing surfaces with our feet, our muscles, especially we get stronger feet, we get a lot stronger feet, we get feet that can really catch impact, that can jump, that have this springy function that feet could have. We get strong legs, we get strong hips, and most of all we get strong backs, because all the little muscles up and down our spine, the ones under the surface, are correcting our balance all the time. Every step we take, the muscles are, you know, we walk, every step we take, the muscles in our back are contracting and releasing again, contracting and releasing again in different places, and keeping us stable, and this gives us stronger backs. So walking outside barefoot is also preventing back problems on the long run and giving us stronger backs and stronger cores. That's reason number 2 to get outside and walk barefoot. Reason number 3. Reason number 3 to be outside as much as possible, walking, running, climbing barefoot on totally, constantly changing terrain, is that our brain has to learn to adapt to every new step. Because every step we take is different, and the sensory input is different, and the way our body is going to have to move to keep balance is different, our brain has to keep up with all that all the time. Every step we take, our brain has to check it and create a new pattern in our body structure to keep us balanced, to keep us centered, to keep us upright. So this is creating a very fast and flexible mind. So this is really good for our minds, for our brains. So we are getting mentally fitter and mentally more flexible, and this will show in other life situations just by walking barefoot regularly. That was reason number 3. Reason number 4. Reason number 4 for me to walk, roam, hop, skip, jump barefoot, but especially just moving through nature barefoot, is that because we can't just, you know, we can't just go falling over things all the time, or we're going to hurt ourselves, we're going to get injured, especially when we're going through the woods and across rocks and places where the the surface keeps changing, and where there might be hard things to stumble against and stuff like that. So our whole awareness, when we walk for quite a while, our awareness goes into what we're doing, and what we're doing is putting one foot in front of the other and walking. And even if we're not looking, you know, the more you get used to walking barefoot, the less you'll be staring at the feet, the more you'll just be looking straight ahead, and the periphery of your eyesight will start to pick up the information you need to make sure you don't bump into things and trip over stuff. So well, look at that. Guten Tag. Ich erzähle gerade was in die Kamera. Ich mache gerade einen kleinen Bericht über das Draußensein und dann kommt jetzt bin ich aber überrascht.
Ich bin gleich vorbei.
Nee, wunderbar. Sie sind ganz wunderbar, ganz
Sind
toll.
Hä?
Nein, von Worms.
Von Worms schon?
Von Worms, ja. Aber ich finde es schön hier, ich komme oft her.
Ja, ich bin eigentlich von Petersen.
Ah ja, ich sehe sie immer hier von Weitem und will nicht stören, gell? Now see that, now that's a good example for someone out moving to his roots. This guy spends all years outdoors with his sheep. Isn't that great? And he didn't have to give me a surprise. Look at that. Right, now I was just talking about being aware of what you're doing while you're walking, and this guy sneaks up behind me with all these sheep and his dogs, and really does surprise me because I was so concentrated on what I was doing. So much to that. Reason number 4 is to walk barefoot, to move around barefoot regularly, is that when you go outside into nature and you take your shoes off when you go barefoot, especially if you leave the paths and tracks and just sort of, you know, go across meadows and through the woods and over stones and logs and stuff like that, you can't just go stumbling through everywhere. You're going to bump your feet, you're going to hurt yourself. You have to be aware of what you're doing. You haven't got shoes on that are sort of protecting you for the amount of things we brush against when we're outside in nature, when we have heavy boots on, I think is probably way more than we'd imagine. That's why our shoes wear out, you know, from the outside. When you're walking barefoot, you become much more aware of where you're treading, and because you are focused on what you're doing, and that is walking and being aware of how you're walking, you can switch off in a totally different way. I mean, you don't have to, when you get used to walking barefoot, you're not staring at your feet all the time. The outer area of your sight will, you know, you can look straight ahead, and the outer area of your sight will pick up the information your brain needs to make sure you don't bump into things and fall over sticks and knock your foot on toes and stones and stuff like that. But if you get lost in your inner dialogue, then you're going to hurt your feet. So I certainly switch off my inner dialogue a lot faster going barefoot, and can leave my thoughts and just be focused on what I'm doing than if I'm sort of half-consciously stumbling around in shoes. So that's benefit number 4 of walking barefoot. You can switch off your inner dialogue much faster and just be doing what you're doing. And this gets you earthed and rooted and centered much faster. Reason number 5. Right, now reason number 5 to get outside and roam barefoot is, especially in nature, on natural ground, on constantly changing surfaces, is that these constantly changing surfaces stimulate, touching the soles of our feet, stimulate the acupressure points in the soles of our feet. So every step you take, you are stimulating different nerve ends, and as you might know, the amount of nerves we have ending in our hands and in our feet, if we spread them out to the same density as they are in the rest of our body, that would make our hands and our feet like this big. because there are so many nerves ending there, and these nerves are connected to all sorts of other parts of our body, to all our inner organs, to our lungs, hearts, livers, kidneys, and so on. And through stimulating these points in our feet, we are stimulating our inner organs to stay healthy and to renew themselves all the time. So that's reason number 5. Reason number 6. Reason number 6 to be outside barefoot as often as possible in nature is the earthing factor. Being outside barefoot really earths us and roots us, not just in a spiritual manner but in a physical manner, because all the negative charge we might have around our bodies, all the tension we have in our bodies, all the stress that we build up in everyday professional life, sometimes family life, personal worries, is conducted into the earth. Our electromagnetic field gets really in a better contact with the electromagnetic field of Grandmother Earth, and both are brought together. Of course, Grandmother Earth's electromagnetic field doesn't change to accustomed to ours, it's the other way round. Ours gets tuned in to that of Grandmother Earth because our feet are in contact with the earth and there's nothing between them, and this balance can take place. So this is why walking barefoot really roots and earths us a lot more than just being out in shoes. That was reason number 6. Reason number 7. And last but not least, the 7th reason to get outside as often as possible and move barefoot is because of all the steps before I just mentioned, 1 to 6, because of the amount of sensory input, because of the flexibility we need in our minds, because of the strength we create in our bodies and up our backs, because of the better coordination and balance we have. Because we get more balanced and earthed, and because we train our awareness, we are less prone, a lot less prone to injuries and accidents than if we don't do this kind of training. So it just keeps us safer while we move through life, because our whole minds and bodies, our whole selves become more adaptable to constantly changing situations. That's all from me for now. Get outside, move around barefoot as often as you can. It's autumn now where we are, and if you haven't begun yet, begin now, because if it gets to winter, you're not going to start until it's next spring, because it's just going to be too cold. So get out now, start walking barefoot now, start getting used to the feeling of this wonderful earth beneath your feet, and you'll be able to adapt to it getting slightly cooler for quite a long time now into the winter, until you probably stop because it's going to get too cold. If you don't do it now, it'll be next year. I am Wild Horse from moveroot.com. Get outside and move to your roots.